If you're watching in order, we've done Banff, Icefield Parkway, Jasper. We've come up to Dawson Creek and the start of the Alaska Highway. We made a video about that, and then we've driven up the Alaska Highway. We spent last night at Laird Hot Springs, and now we have passed Watson Lake and Nugget City, and we are somewhere along in here, just at a roadside pullout. Hi, and welcome to Two Tired Teachers.
We are on our way to Whitehorse.
And we are at the end of day 18. And this morning we left Laird Hot Springs, and the big event of the day was the Signpost Forest at Watson Lake. And then coming on up, and we'll talk about that in a second, but the Signpost Forest, there is a visitor center right behind that, yes. And we want to mention that real quickly because, folks,
they are so helpful.
As you travel the Alaska Highway, and pretty much travel anywhere, those are the people that are going to be able to give you information
about the towns they're in, plus other places.
And one of the things we want to mention is our theme is Alaska on a budget, and the last 24 hours we kind of have a good example of what we're talking about, and that is when we pulled into the Laird Hot Springs. I asked about a dump, and she said, well, you can dump across the highway there for $20. I said, $20? And she said, are you going to Watson Lake? And I said, yeah. And she said, well, you can dump there for free. I'm like, okay, then we'll do that. That saved $20.
Yes.
And then at the information center and we're just going to show you video of the highway and of the Signpost Forest as we're talking about this. But
and one sign in particular.
But the information center there at Watson Lake, I asked about where the dump was and potable water. And as we had come into town, we had filled up with gasoline, and once again, God just led us to the right place. The lady at the information center said, well, if you fill up across the street here, if you fill up with gas, you can get potable water for $5. Or there's a gas station just down the street here. Two blocks, there's a sign that says a nicer hotel. And if you fill up with gasoline there, then the potable water is free. Because she had told us that at the dump, the city park there has a dump, well, dump station is a strong word, but a place that you can dump, that it's non-potable water.
Yeah.
And so, when we finished in the Signpost Forest, which, folks, it is overwhelming, to say the least. But anyway, we went back to where we had filled up with gas. I went in and talked to the girl. Thankfully, I had kind of made some small talk about the artwork that was in there because I went in and I mean, she sees tourists all day long. That is her job this time of year. And I said, we were in here about 2 hours ago. We spent $148, it's Canadian, of course, $148 for gas. We talked about the artwork. They have a kind of a little studio there. Yes. And she said, oh, yes. And so she told us where
on the property
we could fill up with potable water. And folks, it's not one you're going to find if you don't know where it is.
We would have never found it had she not told us.
Okay, the true behind scenes, not glamorous part of RV travel. We are in Watson Lake, which is where the Yukon Territory Signpost Forest is. This is a part of Watson Lake a lot of people don't get to see. But the visitor center, the information center, you ask them about dumps and fresh water fill, etc. And there was one water fill that was $5 if you fill up with gas. But this one, they said was free if you fill up with gas. Well, we happened to have filled up with gas here before we knew to ask about free water. And believe it or not, you're not going to find this spigot unless somebody tells you where. And so, anyway, this is just kind of a, not everybody gets to see this.
No.
That's 24 hours. We've saved $25.
Yeah.
easily. And then tonight we've saved 20 because about less than 5 miles down the road, we pulled into a campground. And folks, they were tiny campsites for $20 a night. And we came up here and there's a big gravel lot, which is nice.
Yes.
Level.
And as far as we know, we'll
It's
let
public
you know
land,
if we're
yeah.
wrong, in Yukon as well as in British Columbia.
But anyway, and so this is free. And so here in the last 24 hours, we have saved $45. And yet we paid $28 for a campsite at Laird Hot Springs because that was an attraction and that was something that was worth it for us. And so we want you to see we're not depriving ourselves of anything, but we are trying to, where we can, save some money. But anyway, the Signpost Forest is just, it's overwhelming. And the visitor center is well worth your time.
Yes.
They have tons of information about the construction of the Alaska Highway, and something we missed just before we got there. I didn't realize that's what it was. Connection Creek. That is where the people that were working on the northern section of the highway connected with people from the southern section of the highway. And it's less than 20 miles south/east of Watson Lake. And the other big thing that happened today is we entered the Yukon territory.
And we did learn, and this is something you might need to know when you travel, because suddenly Canada's having fires all the time. We learned that there is a fire north of Whitehorse.
On the Klondike Highway.
Klondike Highway.
Off of the Klondike Highway. That right now they have pilot cars going through.
But the visibility is low.
And so what we may do is we're spending the night here, and then honestly it's just about 50 or 60 miles down the road. There's actually a free little campground.
Yes.
That we may spend a night or two there.
Yes.
And try and see what happens with that fire.
Yes.
So being flexible, for us this is the beauty of not having reservations. But anyway, this is awesome, amazing, and the road thus far is great.
Yeah.
It really is. We did see 2 herds of bison this morning, and many of them tagged. That was interesting.
And calves.
Yeah, cows and calves with a few bulls in there, and then we saw a lone bull. Not to, Herb Albert, never mind. That's lonely. But anyway, we saw, that's the wildlife we've seen today. Some people that were coming up the highway behind us told us they saw a couple of moose. Somebody else said they saw some bear. It's just going to be, where you are at that exact moment, where the animals are. But, folks, this is one of our friends, when we had service, we had texted to, let them know we're still doing all right and everything. And they said, what's your favorite thing? It's like, how can we pick one thing? And that was my reply to her was, well, yesterday we soaked in hot springs twice, and today we've seen 2 herds of bison. How do you, but the highway is great so far.
Yes.
Just watch for the signs that tell you there's going to be a rough road. And
watch for their signs all along telling you that this is where this type of animal is. Just be very alert when you drive through there, because it almost guarantee you'll hurt your car or RV terribly if you hit a bison.
Well, or a caribou or elk or moose. Yeah, bear. So anyway, you do want to pay attention to that, and I'm thrilled we don't have a very strict time limit, because, folks, our trip is kind of like our videos right now. It just kind of rambles. But we are having so much fun, and we hope that comes through. This is a trip of a lifetime, and we are doing it as economically as we can while still taking advantage of the things that there are to see and do. And so we don't know. Tomorrow we may just move down to that little campground and stay there for a day or two, and then give those fires a chance to kind of see what direction they're going. And then at Whitehorse, our plan is to hit the Klondike Highway and go north to Dawson City, which is just used to be an old gold mining town. Now it's more of just a old tourist town.
Yeah,
but
it has some neat things
yeah,
there. We'll show you when we get
has
there.
some cool stuff. So, we appreciate your time. Thanks for watching Two Tired Teachers. And stay tuned for more Alaska on a Budget. And one of these episodes, we're actually going to get to Alaska.